The next speaker is Dr. John Harold from the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, the immediate past president of the American College of Cardiology. He's going to talk about the digital revolution in cardiology and maybe a small surprise in the end.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Dr. Rosenman. It's a privilege to participate in this joint session of the Israeli Heart Society and the American College of Cardiology on the digital revolution in cardiology. I have no disclosures to make that are relevant to this presentation. I have the distinct privilege of participating in the 2013 conference in Jerusalem, where I had the privilege of meeting Israeli President Shimon Peres and being a participant where 3 postage stamps were presented to the President recognizing Israeli achievements in cardiology, including the percutaneous heart valve, coronary stenting, and the automatic implantable defibrillator. Indeed, much of my talk, which talks about digital innovation, has been pioneered by scientists and researchers from Israel and from many of your colleagues who are working in Silicon Valley in the United States. So again, my discussion will be on the digital revolution in cardiology, again, much of which has been led by Israeli physicians and scientists. So the world is changing. We've moved from a paper-based system to using electronic health records and interacting with digital smartphones and so on. We have a whole new generation of physicians. This cartoon from the New Yorker illustrates a baby tweeting, "Oh my God, I just got born." So technology is transforming healthcare as we know it. Dr. Antman referred to this earlier, but this convergence between medicine and wireless technology has led to disruptive innovation and the transformation of healthcare, which continues to this day. New trends in wireless health, mobile health, and personalized medicine and preventative care is changing the entire paradigm of how we interact with patients and how we look to the future. Indeed, innovations in global digital technologies have been driven by the advent of smartphones, increased bandwidth, connectivity, social networking, cloud computing and storage, the development of biosensors, genome sequencing, and expanded imaging capabilities and miniaturization, all of which has led to a superconvergence, which Elliot referred to earlier. Indeed, the digital revolution is leading to a whole new paradigm on how we deal with the concept of personalized medicine, moving from population-based medicine to the individual patient. Many of our prior speakers have alluded to this conversation. Indeed, Eric Topol has talked about the smartphone as being the equivalent of medicine's Gutenberg for our generation. The Gutenberg Bible, when released in 1455 with the advent of the printing press, revolutionized how people communicate. Well, smartphone technology and the digital revolution is changing the entire way that we interact in this topic. The pluripotential smartphone is viewed as the hub of a telecommunications convergence. It has many features, as you know, but perhaps the most important feature is the unlimited access to information resources via the World Wide Web and gateway to the cloud. It's adaptable to multiple biosensor technologies, including lab on a chip, and for many of us has become the hub of medicine. Indeed, the evolution of the smartphone, from those of you from the United States may recognize the television show Get Smart, when the first smartphone was the shoe phone. But now in 2014, we have many different varieties of smartphones. Again, the computing power of these exceed dramatically what NASA had at the time of the first moon launch. So the wireless tablet, well, many of you will be surprised to recall if you watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, which completed principal filming in 1967, that Arthur C. Clarke was already envisioning a wireless tablet, and this is a picture taken from the movie. Indeed, as we look at the smartphone technology, I graduated from high school in 1973. That was the invention of the personal telephone, the wireless telephone. Now, more people on Earth have access to mobile phones than have access to running water and toilets. An estimated 6 billion people who have cell phones in the world. And this paradigm changes the way that physicians and us in healthcare will be able to interact with our patients going into the future. Indeed, mobile access to the internet has already exceeded desktop internet access. And many of us access multiple screens during our daily activities, from a desktop to a laptop to a tablet to a smartphone to an e-reader. And indeed, electronic health record utilization among United States physicians is now nearly 3 in 4 physicians and continues to rise. Electronic health record access at the point of care is fairly common. This illustrates the EPIC HICU application in the United States. EPIC accounts for over 40% of academic EHR installations across the United States. Indeed, tablets are mainstream. Over 3 out of 4 physicians now have tablets in the U.S., and furthermore, 1/2 of these physicians have used their device at the point of care. For those of you who attended the TCT meeting in San Francisco early in 2013, they went paperless. They called TCT Goes Tablet, and they created a multimedia experience for physicians who attended, and the ability to tweet directly to facilitators who were participating in plenary sessions. And indeed, we are all using medical references at the point of care. I'm just illustrating here the Hippocrates application, which I use almost on a daily basis to look up drug-drug interactions. JACC has become electronic, Medline Plus, and so on, a variety of applications that we all use every day. But the linkage of mobile health and wireless sensors is going to revolutionize the way we interact with patients. Wireless sensors can help physicians to monitor numerous biological processes, and in fact, they're changing the way we are interacting with patients. One example here is the Zeo patch, which for many physicians in the United States has already replaced Holter monitoring as a modality. And indeed, think of a future where Bionics tracks your health almost on a continuous basis. So the digital revolution is redefining medical education as we know it. Many medical schools in the United States have eliminated their paper-based curriculum and are providing medical students with iPads pre-filled with the curriculum, and then the ability to download courses as opposed to using any paper. In Europe, many textbooks are now being replaced by iTunes University downloads. And of course, the introduction of massive open online courses has democratized medical education. The ability to access courses from anywhere in the world from some of our greatest teachers is going to change the way medical education is delivered in many different countries. Digital medical imaging has become a new teaching paradigm for teaching anatomy. I'm showing Jagat Narula's text on Revisiting Cardiac Anatomy, a computed tomography-based atlas. And we've come a long way from the anatomy lesson of Nicholas van Tulp by Rembrandt. And indeed, the digital revolution is redefining clinical care at the bedside. This just illustrates a physician accessing the Framingham risk calculator to calculate a 10-year cardiovascular risk score. And the concept of the smartphone physical examination, which I'll allude to shortly. Many new devices are about to be released or coming on the market. This one is the Wearable device, which is an iPhone case attachment, which allows real-time acquisition of vital signs by patients. You can see an example of some of the vital signs just by touching the back of the case. It includes temperature and includes a number of different parameters. SCANADU has become the vital signs tricorder that we've heard about in Star Trek. I'll talk about this later. But the number of vital signs that can be obtained just by touching the forehead with this device, and as Dr. Ammon alluded to earlier, wireless transmission to a smartphone and the ability to obtain this real-time literally within seconds. We've all seen the portable Aleve iCore ECG monitoring device, which allows patients to download their EKGs remotely from any part of the world. I had the most remarkable transmission of a patient atrial fibrillation from Madagascar. The use of the iPhone or smartphones for blood pressure monitoring, I use this on a regular basis for patients who will download several weeks of blood pressure monitoring to my nurse practitioners to really track how they're doing. The ability to teach phonocardiography to medical students using a smartphone, and how the ability to do sleep studies is being revolutionized by the advent of special attachments for the smartphone and also for the tablet devices, smartphone spirometry, and how remote stroke analysis using high-resolution X-ray pictures is changing the way that we are providing stroke care in the United States in remote areas. the ability to use lab on a chip, smartphone glucometers, and something that many of you may not have seen, the ability to take pictures using an otoscope attachment or an ophthalmoscope attachment, to upload this to the cloud, to get a probabilistic analysis of what you're seeing reported back to you within minutes, and the ability then to have that subsequently verified by a specialist. The smartphone dermatoscope, these are devices that are currently available today. We've heard earlier about, from Dr. Ammon about how the digital revolution is redefining clinical research for the future. But imagine combining mobile health data with GPS data, which can lead to the early detection for flu-like illnesses or environmental exposures of infectious agents. This has already been demonstrated on Google with regards to flu outbreaks. The idea of using washable tattoos embedded with nanosensors that can take blood glucose and sodium readings for transmission via smartphone. So again, a future where bionics can track your health. Digital imaging technologies. Gordon Moore's law, he was the founder of Intel. He stated that the number of transistors that can be placed on an integrated circuit doubles every 18 to 24 months. Well, this miniaturization continues. Kurzweil has said that this Moore's law will continue into the future and will likely go beyond 2020. This is an example of just showing over time, early ultrasound machines exceeded 400 pounds. We now have portable ultrasound devices that are quite light. And then some experimental devices, implantable devices that use a silicon transducer that's half the diameter of a human hair. And here's an example of the pocket-sized ultrasound, which has replaced the stethoscope in several universities across the United States. Eric Topol threw out his stethoscope about 4 or 5 years ago and now uses this device exclusively in clinical care. So again, this has led to the concept of a new fantastic voyage. Many of you may remember the Isaac Asimov book, Fantastic Voyage, and the idea of miniaturization. We are already seeing this in many aspects of medical care, including the capsule endoscopy that you probably heard about. Well, Time magazine had a special issue, 2045, the year man becomes immortal, and talked about imaging transducers that may circulate within us as an ultimate surveillance system, allowing the proverbial intervention of a stitch in time. Brian Arthur stated that technology is becoming organic, but nature is becoming technologic. When Ray Kurzweil published The Age of Spiritual Machines in 1999, he predicted a new era of thinking machines that will meet and then exceed human intelligence. The question he asked then was, can technology think? Well, that was answered in 2011 by IBM with the introduction of Watson. And Watson, as you know, is a supercomputer, and it has advanced from a game-playing innovation into a commercial technology.
But can technology think? Watson can. IBM Watson is a technology unlike any that's come before. Because rather than force humans to think like a computer, Watson interacts with humans on human terms. Watson can read and understand natural language, like the tweets, texts, articles, studies, and reports that make up as much as 80% of the data in the world. A simple internet search can't do that. When asked a question, Watson generates a hypothesis and comes up with both a response and a level of confidence. And then Watson shows you the steps it took to get to that response. In a way, Watson is reasoning.
Indeed, Watson was put to the challenge in the American game show Jeopardy in 2011 when the artificial intelligence computer was put up against one of the 2 lifetime champions of Jeopardy of all time. And Watson won that competition, winning $1 million, which was donated to charity. And this is just a clip from that particular interaction.
Challenge. Here are today's contestants. From Los Angeles, California, Brad Rutter. An IBM computer system able to rapidly understand and analyze natural language, Watson. And from Seattle, Washington, Ken Jennings.
And the final question for Jeopardy.
Now we come to Watson. We're looking for Bram Stoker. And we find who is Bram Stoker and the wager. Hello, 17,973, 41,413, and a 2-day total of 77,147.
Which again translated into $1 million win, which was donated to charity. But this is relevant to what we do. So the Cleveland Clinic has partnered with IBM Watson in developing medical decision support. Medical students are issued a tablet, an iPad computer, which interacts with Watson, downloading from the cloud, to focus on medical decision support. And indeed, during the Innovation Summit, Watson was put up against some of the most well-known diagnosticians at the Cleveland Clinic, and on almost every occasion defeated them. So that's pretty fascinating. But how is this useful at the point of care? Well, this has already been demonstrated at MD Anderson Cancer Center using an iPhone technology to be able to access the data of Watson, which is a 15 terabyte computer, the ability to access 3 million pages of data per second. And IBM has shrunk Watson from the size of a master bedroom to 3 stacked pizza boxes, and we can expect in the very near future the cardiology expert advisor for Watson. So the theme of my presidential year at the American College of Cardiology was innovation in technology and education. I had the privilege of facilitating the development of an ACC digital strategy. And our digital strategy set out to optimize delivery of knowledge for our members and patients when they need it, where they need it, and how they wish to experience it. Our digital strategy sets out to improve existing member value, improve the quality of clinical knowledge and care, and to drive effective sharing of cardiovascular information. This is a multi-million-dollar project supported by the Board of Trustees, which has a 5-year time frame. Already, you will be seeing later this year the new ACC.org, which will be a seamless cross-platform experience, whether you access a desktop, a laptop, a smartphone, or a tablet. And indeed, at our annual scientific session in Washington, D.C., many of you experienced our ACC e-meeting planner. We've developed the ACC Connect application, which connects all 47,000 members of the college, the ability to instantly email or to telephone any of our 47,000 members from our database, including all the members of the Israeli chapter of the ACC. The college has developed multiple mobile health apps, as illustrated here, and we've made a significant commitment to what is called unplugged medicine. One of our biggest initiatives has been in the patient arena, and it's been called CardioSmart, and we've developed a app, the Heart Explorer app, which is downloadable from the iTunes store, free to our members. It's a small charge for non-members. This allows physicians and healthcare professionals to review and discuss common heart problems and treatment options with their patients and caregivers on the iPad. And I'll give an example on the following video. We begin by demonstrating normal cardiac anatomy, the conduction system, heart valves, and then the ability to talk about normal physiology, normal blood flow, myocardial infarction, to talk about heart failure, and talk about atrial fibrillation, and then to demonstrate procedures, how a balloon angioplasty is performed, how a stent is performed, and then to talk about pathogenesis of atherosclerosis. And again, this is done at the point of care with patients. We're able to demonstrate various types of procedures, including electrical mapping, transseptal catheterization, atrial fibrillation ablation, and show exactly how that is performed. The ability to demonstrate the results of coronary angiograms right in front of the patient, and then to email those results to the patient with very detailed data on follow-up steps and information to read about. Again, a program that's available around the world to any of our members and to those who wish to download this particular application. An extraordinary patient education tool, but one of many, many tools on the cardiosmart.org website. So social networking has played a profound impact in how patients interact with each other. Facebook has over 1 billion users. Twitter has over more than 500 million total users and has extensive use in the cardiology research community. The college has recognized this, and we have developed multiple social media channels, including various communities that you can access as of today. We've moved into the era of electronic publishing. I hope many of you have seen Jack and the extraordinary amount of multimedia content that we have added to that. So what are the things to come, as H.G. Wells talked about? Well, the iWatch will be coming hopefully later this year. This is a conceptual view, but imagine a wearable piece of technology that can deliver real-time biometric data, blood pressure, heart rate, heart rhythm, and this is envisioned as part of the Apple HealthBook application, which will be part of their operating system 8. Many of you have heard about Google Glass. This was going to be a major plenary session at Sky in Las Vegas next month, and I'll give some background information. Google Glass is a wearable computer with an optical head-mounted display, as this video will illustrate.
An image of the patient's screen, so kind of information about the patient while you're walking around.
Like the patient's name, their past medical history, even x-rays. And that information can be life-saving, especially if a patient can't communicate or doesn't know their allergies or medications. But instead of having to leave a patient's bedside to check a computer, which can waste time, the doctor has all the information he needs on a tiny screen in his peripheral vision.
So I can keep eye contact with the patient. We can keep talking. I don't have to interrupt their conversation, and I can access that information.
Google Glasses also free up a doctor's hands.
The Glass, what makes it different than other types of wearable technology is that you can be completely hands-free.
And again, Google Glass has applications in surgery, applications in the cath lab, and this is just a demonstration of how it could be used in the operating room.
Okay, Glass, patient status. Okay, Glass, check vital signs, bed 4. Okay, Glass, increase SIVO, 2%.
And again, version 2 of Google Glass was recently put on sale. It sold out within a few hours. They're working with Luxottica and other eyeglass companies to make it much more visually appealing than the first version, but this is still in beta testing. So many of you have heard about the X Prize Foundation out of Singularity University, but imagine for patients a portable wireless device in the palm of your hand that could monitor and diagnose health conditions, as described in the early Star Trek television series. And that's the technology envisioned by the Qualcomm Tricorder X Prize competition.
The heart flutter. He's dying.
The medical tricorder that could scan your body for vital signs has gone from science fiction to science fact.
And indeed, the SCANADU is the first, will be the first commercially available version of this, which will have multiple functions in terms of checking vital signs. The X Prize will be a $10 million prize that will be awarded to the team that develops a mobile platform that most accurately diagnoses a set of 15 diseases across 30 consumers in 3 days. This device is envisioned for consumer-driven healthcare, for patients to essentially track their own health, to track how they're doing. And this is envisioned to revolutionize the way we approach chronic disease management. And again, the future is very exciting in that regard. Steve Jobs said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards." So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. So again, welcome to the world of tomorrow, and I want to thank you for listening, and I think we are on the verge of a superconvergence for a new era in personalized medicine, and we look forward to the future. Thank you.